Hi, welcome to Expium's Pairing series, where we pair Expium experts and beverages to dive deeper into Atlassian tool usage. So grab a drink and let's get started. Welcome to Coffee and Confluence. I'm Kylie.
And I'm Vicky.
And I'm going to ask Vicky some questions today about Confluence. I'm just going to start off with, what is Confluence? If someone's never used it before, what do we need to know about it?
Sure, Confluence is a wiki editor, so it's really used to make any sort of documentation or content that you need. The most common uses that we see of it are as a knowledge base, so that could be used to connect with other tools like Jira Service Management, or really just as a general knowledge base for your organization. But outside of that, you can use Confluence for pretty much anything. We use it here at Expium to help us keep track of our client projects, help us onboard our new employees, and also track our marketing efforts. So there's quite a lot of opportunity available within the tool.
Okay. So how does Confluence work with other tools? You mentioned it can integrate with Jira, so how does that work?
Yeah, so Confluence integrates really well with all of the other Atlassian tools. Probably the most powerful one that I use all the time is the integration with Jira. So you are able to reference your Jira issues directly in Confluence. You're able to use your Jira dashboard gadgets that you know and love in Confluence, and you can even create Jira issues directly from Confluence as well. Outside of Atlassian tools, there's quite a bit of integration as well. You can utilize these smart link features to integrate with things like your Google suite of tools, your Google Sheets, your Google Docs, edit those directly from Confluence. And you can even integrate with some social media platforms as well. So if you work in a marketing department or an HR department using social media for recruitment, you can get quite a bit of information directly in Confluence without having to leave and navigate to those other sites. And for any other integrations, I encourage you to check out the Atlassian Marketplace. There's often a lot of apps out there that'll help you integrate with other tools as well.
So this is a little bit harder. So what is a macro? And after you explain that, what are your top 5?
Okay, great question. So a macro is really just an item that you add into a page. It helps you make really engaging and consumable content. And the number one thing I hear about macros is people are really hesitant to start using them, mainly because other software tools, macros in those are often pretty difficult to use. That is not the case in Confluence. In Confluence, they're super user-friendly, they're really easy to pick up, and if you're still hesitant, check out the documentation because it really does let you know how to use all of them and what they should be used for. As for my top 5, I do feel this makes me a true Atlassian nerd that I have a top 5, but I do. One would be the expand macro, then the info panel macro, the Jira filter macro, and all of its various forms, the excerpt macros, and the page properties macros. And I don't know if that was cheating or not, because the last 2 are technically 2 macros that work together, but I would put them in the category there in the top 5.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about how it can integrate into your workday. Mm-hmm. Could it also be integrated into your personal life, or what are some examples of workday use, but also outside of work use?
Certainly. If you currently use Confluence in your organization, I encourage you to optimize your personal space. It's a great place to keep track of your own work, to make drafts of any content that you need to put out into the world later on, and really check out those macros I mentioned. Try and build yourself a nice dashboard to keep track of your personal progress. There's also capabilities with team calendars that are really useful these days. So you can really keep track of your Jira issue due dates, your sprint dates, your fixed version due dates, as well as your team availability through those features. And personally, I use it most at work to create reports, custom reports where I'm referencing my Jira information and also explaining it all in one place. So outside of that, in your personal life, you can really utilize Confluence in a lot of different ways. Some examples are, I have a colleague who's used Confluence to manage a really large home renovation, and a friend of mine used it to manage her daughter's Girl Scout cookie sales, and I'm personally using it to manage my wedding right now. So it's really great to help you manage those real-life, large-scale projects as well.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for explaining how it could also be used outside of work as well. That's something I didn't think about right away. So we've learned a lot about Confluence from Vicky. What if someone wants to know a little bit more, find more details, what resources are available?
Sure. So we offer a couple of resources here at Expium. First, I'll mention our Introduction to Confluence webinar. It's a free 1-hour event. We hold it about every other month. And it really just is an overview of Confluence. You'll get to see a lot of examples of how we use it with out-of-the-box functionality and hopefully inspire you with a couple of ways you can start implementing it in your organizations. If you're wanting a little bit more in-depth look at Confluence and to pick up on some new tips and tricks for it as well, well, I encourage you to check out our Confluence Bootcamp. It's a one-day training event. It goes hood to trunk through Confluence. You're going to start with the very basics, learning how to create spaces and pages, all the way through all of the editing capabilities within the tools. So our number one goal is to really expose everyone to the world of Confluence, teach you all of the different little things about it, and so you can take that and make some great reports and dashboards in your organization.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, we'll include all of that information, those links below as well as an email. So if you have any further questions, you're welcome to reach out to us. But thank you for joining us for Coffee and Confluence.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Expium's Paring series. All the resources we talked about in this video will be linked below. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next pairing series, and we'll see you there.